I've noted really with pain in my heart that my fellow ANC members and employees at the African National Congress have not been paid again now for 2 months, and that they were picketing today and protesting outside Luthuli House and other offices of the African National Congress, demanding that what is their right and what they are absolutely entitled to should be given to them, which are their salaries. Under the circumstances, I understand why these staff members and comrades are saying that they do not understand how they can be expected to do the work for the upcoming policy conference, the registration of which is starting on Thursday, while they've not been paid. So apparently there is money for this policy conference, but there's no money to pay staff who have dedicated their lives to the African National Congress. Many of these comrades have been employed and worked for the ANC for decades. Their families have sacrificed, they have sacrificed. Some of these comrades have not just worked for the ANC since the unbanning of the African National Congress, but were also cadres who dedicated their lives to the liberation struggle when the ANC was still a banned organization. Some of them were in exile, others worked and struggled in the underground here inside the country. So this is the thank you that the national office bearers of the African National Congress, and specifically Paul Mashatile, who now seems to be the unholy trinity of the African National Congress, being the Treasurer General, the Secretary General, and the Deputy Secretary General of the ANC. This is the thank you that these comrades, and Paul Mashatile specifically, are giving to long-serving members of the African National Congress who've only shown loyalty to the ANC. All of this is a disgrace. I have been fired from my job as an employee of the ANC last year. Since August, I've lost my job because I blew the whistle on the mismanagement and criminality that is going on in the African National Congress. On the deduction of pay-as-you-earn and UIF and medical aid from the salaries of staff, while those monies do never get paid over to the correct authorities. One doesn't know where the money went, but monies that are not paid over to the right institutions means that monies have been stolen, and that we are dealing here with fraud and with serious corruption. Under the circumstances, I cannot see how the current management of the African National Congress can continue. I personally believe that the staff of the African National Congress, and I myself have done so already, should take action to get the ANC declared insolvent. If it is unable to meet its commitments, if it is unable to pay the debts that it has, if it cannot pay the salaries of its staff, if it cannot contractually comply with the commitments that it has made, it should be declared insolvent. Because for now, we need to save the African National Congress. We need to save it from these malcontents who are in charge of the African National Congress and is destroying it. And the only way to save the ANC is to take strong, drastic action. To refuse to work when one is not paid. To refuse to be trampled on in terms of your long-standing revolutionary commitment. To refuse the African National Congress becoming a rogue organization that does not meet its commitments. This is not an action that I'm pleading for the African National Congress to be destroyed. It is an action that I'm pleading for in order for the African National Congress to be saved, and specifically to be saved from the leadership that is failing it dismally. So I think every South African should support the long-suffering staff of the African National Congress, the employees of the ANC, should support their protest actions, should also care and be concerned about the families of employees, children who cannot go to school, wives and husbands who are unable to meet the bills that they have to pay, families who lose homes, medical aids that are cancelled, and when family members fall ill, they cannot even get decent medical attention. This is an outrage, but it is a reflection of the general approach that the current leadership of the African National Congress have towards not just its own staff, but the whole population of South Africa. They are showing utter contempt and inhumanity for people. And leaders who show contempt and inhumanity towards those to whom they have a duty and a task to lead, forfeit their right to leadership and should be thrown out of the African National Congress. So those are my words of assessment and of support of the current labor action that the employees of the African National Congress have engaged on. I know that they do so as a last resort. I know that it is deeply and very difficult for members of the African National Congress who are committed as these employees are to the ANC and to the cause of the ANC and to the liberation struggle, to protest against their own organization. I know it tears them apart, but honestly, they have been left with no other option. Thank you.